Happy haunted holidays, mourners. Welcome to the Court of the Dead holiday episode. I'm the ghost of Christmas past, and I'll be bringing you some amazing gifts this morning. We've got a couple amazing features for you. We're going to have a heavenly interview with Court of the Dead designer Rachel Roubicek. We're going to have an epic announcement from Tom Gilliland and Frank Tieri. We're going to have the second installment of the Underworld games. Team Flesh is going to face off with Team Spirit. We'll see who wins that. And we're going to have some amazing giveaways and special contests we're going to launch throughout the DeadStream. So stay tuned. Welcome back. I have with me here this morning Court of the Dead designer Rachel Roubicek. Welcome, Rachel!
Hi.
Thanks for joining us today for a heavenly interview.
Mm-hmm.
So you've worked on a lot of different Sideshow product, but
Yeah.
you also work a lot on Court of the Dead in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been instrumental in the design of Malavestros and Galavarb. Rachel was just looking at one of our interstitial images and saying, I worked on that, I worked on that, I worked on that. So you've had a hand worthy of the all-taker there in a lot of the Court of the Dead product. But today I wanted to talk about something we haven't talked about very much, actually, which is heaven. I thought it was seasonally appropriate. Christmas and the holiday season being what it is, there's lots of chubby, rosy-cheeked cherubs floating around some evergreens, but heaven in the underworld is a little bit different, is it not?
I mean, they totally ride for that propaganda. Sure, that they love that cherub stuff. You go for it. You believe that all you want.
They support that.
I mean, so long as they have your
themselves.
soul in the end, they don't care. So if you think they're fat little baby angels, go for it.
But what do they really look like?
Oh, well, in that case, they're a little bit particularly different in that end.
Do they have any like signature elements? You pick them out of a
Yeah,
crowd?
you could. It's pretty obvious indeed to check them out.
I believe we have some of Rachel's artwwork we could show as well, right? So we could.
For two particular angels. So.
And what angels are those?
One is named Cerebus, who is an angel who will be prominent in the Rise, Conquer, and Rule trilogy, as well as the original creator, Priam, who we see on screen before you.
Excellent. So this is your artwork that we're looking at right here.
Yes.
So what's the difference between the fellow on the left versus the fellow on
So
the right?
it's actually
the same guy, right?
It's the same guy. This is Priam, the original Celestial, who is the creator of the angels. On the left, just making sure, that is his most original form. When he was first born, almost a little bit elven in design, but that was his original creation when he was born along with his brother, his twin brother Abraxiel. And on the right is this form he took later on when he started developing his own power and developing his own way he wanted to perceive himself and his followers, who were the angels.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So demons are agents of chaos, and heaven is all about really strict order. How did you represent that in some of the designs that you did for these angels?
So I've always really been fascinated with geology, and also with art. One of the things I really enjoy is fractals, which in nature are natural geometrical patterns that a lot of things take. Trees take it. You'll like the way bark goes up along a tree. When you open up a tree and cut it in half, you'll see the little circles to indicate its age. But in geodes specifically with rocks, I really liked that because rocks have this harshness, this edge, but they have this beauty to them that is really extraordinary. And they come in all sorts of varieties. You got really brittle ones, you have really harsh ones. They can be as soft and brittle, but then they can be as hard and tough as a diamond. And, there's this power to them and how they're created, with volcanoes and magma and heat and pressure. And one of the things I thought about with the angels would be neat is that with the demons, they're very fleshy and organic and embody chaos incarnate.
Kind of asymmetrical,
exactly.
Really gnarly.
Asymmetry is very common for demons. Whereas with angels, I wanted this natural symmetry, and I just thought, well, nature does it on its own. And I thought the coldness sometimes that rocks and crystals could have, and like the sharpness and intensity
the
to them.
Unemotionality.
Yeah, I thought it fit the angels really well. And also, they could be really pretty to look at and, shiny, but then totally like shanky or like obsidian or something like that. They could have this dangerous side to them.
Beautiful but deadly.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the color palette for angels. How would you pick them out of a crowd? They don't really look like tennis players with wings.
No, they don't. Obviously, you could tell by some of their geode crystal structures. Along their like cheeks, their foreheads, they have almost armor of crystal hide, basically. Like you'll have a chest plate. Like on Cerebus, for example, he has this chest plate that's basically coming from his chest and forming out of his chest cavity to form a chest, like a chest plate gorget kind of thing. And you can see on his forearms and his shins that he has greaves and gauntlets almost formed. But in some areas, you can see on his forehead with his halo, it's actually a more built-in bone-like structure in his head. And
so that's the nod to the halo that's kind of coming out of.
Angels have kind of a variation of halos. You can have halos that are built into their foreheads, floating like rocks or discs behind their head, energy, like of blue light, and variations of just circular like discs around them. Demons actually share a halo. It's usually made of horns or tentacle like tendrils or some sort of just no matter what the circle is united between both of them.
They kind of mirror each other.
Well, they used to be the same thing at one point.
Oh, that's right. Edith split into the two.
Exactly.
Oh, I forgot to mention we're accepting live Q&A, so please submit in chat to Bree any questions you'd like to ask Rachel about her career here at Sideshow or Angels, kind of our focus here. Let's see, we talked about halos. Tell me a little bit about heaven in general. Like, what's the environment of these characters like?
So with heaven, one of the things that, again, I like the whole geode construct is we sort of thought of this idea of the kind of playing with opposites of what people believe they'd be in. So heaven actually is a really hot, in a way, hellscape actually. Play on words there. But it's very hot. There's a lot of heat, fire. It's really intense, and it helps fuel them. And a lot of light. It's kind of almost like being in a radiant sun. Actually, in the Shadows of the Underworld comic, there's this bright intensity of yellow, and it's like bright flashes of light everywhere, and that's pretty damn prominent. I'm sorry.
You can swear.
And,
we're all adults here.
Okay.
That yellow Tom always refers to as kind of like a nicotine yellow-brown. That's always in my mind. It's sort of like that it's stained, It's
it used to be a pretty color. Well, it never was a pretty color. It seems like, it could have been a pretty color at one point. The prominent colors with heaven are the yellow with the nicotine kind of discoloration to it, as well as like a sky light blue rather than the bluish green of the underworld teal etheria.
Yeah. Kind of the corruption that you get with the greed with heaven and hell.
Yeah, and sometimes some demons and angels, they will have a sort of innate color discoloration. So with angels, the nicotine sometimes takes a little bit of a darker, slight sort of variation on like darker blues or purples, and just so to a little bit because
show the corruption.
Yeah, a little bit because they've been corrupted by something that a lot of mourners get sometimes potentially corrupted by.
Let's take a few questions here. There's some great ones. JJ Joe is asking, do you work digital or with traditional paper and pencil?
When I went to school for animation, so I did predominantly start off traditionally. Sometimes I do still sketch traditionally, and I actually picked up painting miniatures, so I actually have been getting my hands dirty again. But for work purposes, I do work with Photoshop and digitally with a tablet.
Awesome. Oh, this is a great one. I love stopping by your desk to see what you're working on with influences. So this question is from Jason Buckley. Where do you get your influences from when creating Court of the Dead characters?
So I like to research heavily. I kind of find
Rachel
myself...
is a researcher.
I make Bone proud. I find the tendency to really research things. So, for example, if Tom is telling me he wants for a certain character to have a certain gun or a type of body armor or something like that, I'll go and ask him like what kind of time period is he looking for, some sort of influence, because with some of the Court of the Dead characters, they have a lot of influence with time periods, and sometimes I'll be like, I have no idea what that is. I'll look it up. And I'll find myself getting influenced by stuff like, I had no idea what a frog was for the longest of time, and now I know what that is. It's when you have it on a belt, and so you have the sword attached to the scabbard, and didn't know what that was, but now I do. Is that right? I don't know if that's still right, though, but whatever.
This ties into another question that that Philip Causey had, asking how you use your reference. I mean, are you kind of looking at historical reference and cobbling it together, or you just freehand it and kind of take what you want from here and there?
So I have a dual screen at my desk. So the first screen I'm drawing on, and the second screen is 20-odd something images of reference. And what I like to try to do is, like, if I see, like, on a face that I found of, let's say I'm doing a flesh character, I'll sometimes do the gruesome research of looking up type of body horror imagery that I didn't want to look up, like, people with skin diseases or types of tumors, wounds, and sometimes get really grossed out, but for sake of reference, and there's times where I'll look at that and be like, that's a great looking boil, I'll take that boil.
A great looking boil?
I don't know, that's just a stupid example.
Hashtag
but...
only things that Court of the Dead designers say.
Yeah, out of context, most of what I say would probably make no sense to anybody.
A t-shirt. That's a great looking boil.
That's a great looking. But like, for example, I'll see that and I'll think that looks really nice, and I'll sometimes add a little bit of what can I make it a little bit more. So I add either more of it to make it look more. So like on a shoulder might work cool as like a weird chest plate maybe, or as a fungus on type of chest armor.
Especially if a lot of kind of it's grown, it's not worn, right? So it's got to have that feel.
Yeah, and then like with flesh characters, for example, they can form armor out of their body if they want to, or in a way it becomes like a fungus on top of armor. So looking at some of the organic stuff really helps. And then obviously with like hard surfaces too, like looking up like sculpture and seeing how things are done. So
awesome.
Did that answer the question? I guess it did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Just you take and give and, cobble it together in your own unique way. Yeah. Alex Aronowitz is asking, if you could grab Priam by his crystal lapel and compel him to talk, what would your one question be?
Why?
Why?
Probably actually that, but
I would say, as a mortal soul, if you made it into heaven and grabbed Priam, I don't know if
I don't even think it's possible.
Serious trouble.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be possible. I mean, so there's two types of history with the angels and demons. There's pre-cataclysm, when Priam and Abraxel were predominantly alive, were running their civilizations, and the time like when the Celestials were like actually at peace with each other before we're just going to continue fighting until we continue to fight. And then there's post-cataclysm, which is when after Priam and Abraxel decided, hey, this shouldn't go on any longer, and they decided to try to destroy themselves. And when they did, they created the mortal realm and death and the underworld. And then the angels since then, though, that survived and have made the civilizations continue since. But so Priam, I guess if you had to ask him a question, it'd be really interesting because depending on what period of time you talk to him. If it was at the very beginning, he'd probably be very confused and not know what's going on.
And he's a little more sympathetic than the other angels, right? Who are more or less like agents of major corruption and order, and they're very myopic. But Priam and Abraxel
he was like that, though.
Realized, but they came to their senses.
Yeah, he came to his senses, but it was a little bit too late by the time they figured it out, and they tried to rectify it by like, hey, we're just gonna wipe the slate clean, and it didn't exactly work like they wanted.
It never does.
No, it doesn't.
I've got someone asking what your faction is.
I'm Bone.
The best faction!
And we're going to keep our winning streak, so today's competition doesn't matter.
That's right, folks. Yet more proof. Bone faction is the faction to be. And if you don't know your faction, you should go to side.show/court faction, court quiz. And find out your faction for yourself. So I have a link to that somewhere. Court faction. And find out your faction. Hopefully you're Bone like Rachel and I. let's see. Someone here is asking if you have a favorite Court of the Dead character that you've worked on.
Statue-wise, my favorite's Malavestros. I think I had, because he was the first one I worked on.
The Jester.
Yeah, just a little bit of attachment to that. And
Huzzah, fellow mourners!
Oh my
It is
goodness.
I, the ghost of Christmas presents.
I'm surrounded by spirit. Oh my gosh.
Oh, immortal. Look,
Oh.
she's here.
By Christmas present, you really mean present, don't you? Because you're
Presents
going to give away
and
some
presents.
gifts.
All of the above. And I brought the scepter of gift giving.
Huzzah, sir.
Dare you tempt the gift? Touch with your finger and summon. Oh, well, a 10-hour excursion in a Black Friday shopping mall? That's all for you.
Is Black Friday kind of like the Black Plague of the modern era? Is that
What? Is that not a joyous day to spend
I
10
don't-
hours amongst your fellow mourners? Or mortals, is this case?
Oh,
In a fashion mall, no less.
yeah.
Wondrous.
I haven't done my shopping yet, so
Fashion
maybe that
malls.
is
I believe
useful.
those are things of the past. That would be my.
I see all across the eras. What can we do now?
Well, my dear, I believe we're launching a contest right now.
Aha, my favorite.
A gleam contest, and I have some examples here of the gift that you're giving away. But Rachel, fortuitously, is also modeling these gifts.
Unironically.
So this is featuring the lovely artwork of Ms. Ji Peng. Let's start with the T-shirt.
Oh, huzzah.
We have beautiful.
Gaze
dress
in
here of
wonder.
Here.
Perhaps,
Here in
yes.
gold on
More
black.
wonder.
And this is how it looks on Ms. Rachel as well. Awesome, with Rise Conquer Rule at the bottom as well. And then this super awesome hoodie, which has the, oh yeah, we can't forget the court logo on the front and a little death on the back talking to a little soul. It's so cute and so horrifying. I think it's cute. Could you hold this one up as well so that they
Oh,
can see
indeed.
Ghost of Christmas Present? Oh.
I'm just advertising.
Oh, presents
They're
for all.
See? So we've launched
Who will
a
be the lucky
gleam
one amongst us?
contest where you can win a t-shirt and a hoodie, but we're actually going to give away a t-shirt right now in chat. We've got a trivia question for you all. So whoever is able to answer this first.
We have 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
All right, which two members of Death's Court are angels, or former angels is probably the more appropriate. So what
Does
two
it
members
has a time limit, does
of
it?
the court are
An
angels or
expiration
former- They
date?
do. We're counting down, sir.
I see.
Pull out your pocket watch.
Now.
Starting now. All right, I know both of you know this. It's not a tough
Who
one.
could that be? I'm sure someone amongst you will come up with the answer, won't they?
Let's take a quick question. This is being the ghost of Christmas present. We'll see if you decide to share some early information. People love your designs and are wondering if they might ever see them in collectible format of an angel and demon.
Well, let's look across the eras. It seems that in years to come, that will in fact be the case.
Excellent. And might you have had a hand in that design, my dear?
Perhaps. Maybe. Smidge.
Oh, excellent. So you heard it here first, folks. The exclusive announcement. We are working on an angel and demon design. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, Bree, do we have a winner?
We do.
We do. Who do we have?
Huzzah.
Philip Causey?
Philip Causey.
Causey.
Congratulations,
Yay!
sir.
Wonderful.
You knew that. And who are the two members of Death's Court that are angels?
Here.
And Ezra.
Hey! Well done,
Well done.
Philip. Congratulations.
Should send an email to Court of the Dead Social.
Yes, send us an email at courtsocial at
COTD Social.
Sorry.
At sideshow.com. You hear me?
Did that come through? COTD social at sideshow.com. Please send us an email with your name and your address, and we will send you one of these exclusive T-shirts, which were produced overseas with one of our partners and are not going to be available for sale here. So they are quite a special, exclusive
festive Christmas gold, in fact.
All right. Let's see.
With all the black.
Well, but of course.
Yes, of course.
Before we cut to yet another special announcement, I think we have one other great question for you before we draw this to a close. Sinful Haley, who has a lovely handle, by the way, Ms. Haley. Do you ever put any aspects of your own personality into your characters or any fun Easter eggs?
I have put some Easter eggs into stuff. Not gonna lie, I have. Malamistress in particular's statue has quite a few.
That mirthful little jester.
Yeah, perhaps everyone will figure them out eventually. And as you know, with some of the character creation, as a generalness, a little bit sometimes putting in some of like little attributes you find about yourself or little moments or things. Yeah, it's pretty commonplace. I mean, general time, it's mostly taking ideas that Tom creates and putting a little bit of my spin on it and seeing what I can do and how to sort of not obviously get it like, oh, there's Rachel's like the Court of the Dead character, but like trying to be subtle about it. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to having you on to future Court of the Dead streams. I think we'll have to have a hellish one, maybe for Valentine's Day. That
sounds
about thematically appropriate.
Here's my heart.
And of course, I'm sure you'll be representing Team Bone in some future competitions.
Yes. Yes.
After your win a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
you
please,
mean my throttling?
Your throttling.
Throttling.
Yes,
it was more of a throttle.
Yeah. I mean, it really wasn't much of a competition.
Hell, we even won by the time I even got to my turn.
You guys were so far ahead, it wasn't even. But I mean, what else would you expect from the best faction?
Yeah, we studied, we prepared, you know.
Instead of cutting a bedsheet apart.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that works out for Team Flesh in the next installment of the Underworld games, which will be after this video break. But please stay tuned. There will be a special announcement in the video that we're playing next with Mr. Ghost of Christmas Present's alter ego. Be right back. So what attracted you to the Court of the Dead universe? How's it a little bit different from some of the other worlds that you've been able to play in?
Well, I've always been a fan of Sideshow in general. From afar, you know, you would always make your annual trek there from San Diego. I would always like, wow,
the
this
Sideshow
is
Mecca.
Yeah, the Sideshow Mecca, exactly. And you see this crazy shit that you guys put together, and it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Look, you know, and so I've always loved that universe. I actually saw the Court of the Dead stuff. I'm like, okay, Andy Smith actually had.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have a mutual friend, my friend Dan Panosian, introduced me to. Said, Dan, I gave you a plug, all right? So Dan, all right, you happy I mentioned you on the thing here? All right. So he's an illustrator.
Nice.
He's talented. I'm also lying about that, but I'm okay. So anyway, no, he is. But anyway, so we have a mutual friend, Andy Smith, introduced and to me the whole Court of the Dead stuff, and I was like, wow, this is. What the hell is this stuff? You know what I mean?
Dark and creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is right up, and this is right around the time I was doing
bruisers.
Pestilence too. So I was like, yeah, you want to show them this? Because you know, I could like do that. You know, I have this, and yeah, it was like it's an automatic. I was definitely interested into the Court of the Dead. It very much fits in a lot of my. It's grim, gritty, creepy,
High action.
horror, people getting killed. You know, high action. It's cool.
Awesome. I'll drink that milkshake of
Yeah, exactly.
I love, like, the grim and gritty element. 'Cause, you know, there's a big that's the court world. They're trying to do the right thing. They're not exactly the right players
Right.
for the job, but
Anti-heroes.
they're stepping up to the plate.
And
I
if
think that's the language that Frank clearly speaks and understands.
If you follow my career, I do a lot of villain stuff, quote unquote. I do a lot of grim and gritty characters. I've worked on characters like Wolverine and Punisher, and you know, so I've very much, you know,
the darker side.
the darker side is
Yeah.
not totally foreign to me.
Well, plus I think that's where we both, kind of seriously connected on, was the aspect of these sort of shades of gray, morality,
Flaws. I like
questions,
flawed characters.
That was a big part of our discussion the other day or whatnot, and like, cool. You know, flawed characters have always been the most,
Interesting.
Let's
be honest.
Again, you talk about villains often, and especially in today's, environments where the villains are often getting a lot of press and a lot of light and dimensionalization that like makes them feel certainly more credible, but also they often are more interesting because there's more going on. There's more conflict just within them.
Yep.
And I think that was something even in approaching Court and then trying to think about it for comics was like, well, Court was a little bit of my response to what would I do if I was doing a comic and what would my superhero team look like. So
This is a fucked up Justice League.
Is that going to be the tagline?
This is the
for
fucked up,
War-
the
War
fucked
Flesh
up
and
Justice
Bone?
League.
The
So, and I mean, that
FJLA.
take there, I was like, well, then, to get a chance to work with Frank, who's like engineered so many effective, anti-hero and villain kind of pieces, was like, this is going to be, the perfect fit in the perfect shoe. So.
I think you heard it here first, folks. The next Court of the Dead graphic novel will be The War of Flesh and Bone, written by Frank Tieri. Very exciting. We'll be posting a link later in chat if you want to check out that full-length interview with Tom and Frank talking about that project. But without further ado, it's time for the second installment of the Underworld Games. We're doing Court of the Dead Pictionary. I've got Team Spirit up first. We've got Jerry and Bree, and the Ghost of Christmas Present is pinch hitting. He's stepped in to help out. We've got Flesh waiting in the wings. They're up next.
Take them away.
But Team Spirit is up first. Jerry is going to have 60 seconds to draw 3 different court characters, which Bree and our Ghost of Christmas Present will be guessing. And we'll see how many you guys can get right, and we'll switch. And then if we need to, we can talk tiebreakers. But I don't know that that'll really be
We'll win pretty easy.
necessary. So let me get the timer ready. You've got your cards here, Jerry.
Okay.
On your mark, get set, draw.
What is that, Mourner Bree?
It looks like a. Oh, it's Malavestros. No?
Nay,
Okay.
Nay, nay. The bells hanging. Come on now.
You're supposed to help her, not toy with her, sir.
Oh,
How
I
is
thought that was a
not
present.
Malavestros?
What could that be? Balloons.
It looks like a. Oh, is it Kier? Is it?
Nay, oh.
30 seconds.
Dig deeper. Perhaps royalty in the title.
Get 70.
Oh, bravo.
All right. Ready? Next one. Go.
And lines, yes. More lines.
happiest of all court
extra?
characters.
Nay.
No. No. I know who it is. Why are you not helping? I can't remember his name.
Channeling the spirit to you.
Is it Mortigold?
Yeah.
Democrat?
Huzzah!
Yay! All right. Ready? And go.
Since I'm on
I'll
my own
concentrate
here.
harder now. More?
It's coming through the veil. I sense it.
What?
Were
Come
you
now.
two hitting the theater of memory before this? Because I feel like maybe you're a little too
Many
stuck.
spirits have we indulged in today.
Demithyle?
Yeah.
No. Yes? No?
No? A collar.
Oglavale?
No.
A
More
collar?
bones.
It's a scratch. Just kidding.
Perhaps cannot deny the faction lead of Bone, perhaps?
45 seconds.
Ah!
That's
Well done. All right.
It's as if I've seen these before, and you have not.
Well done. Team Spirit got all three right within time. So why don't we have a
Oh,
switch?
huzzah.
We'll bring in Team Flesh and all their. If Team Spirit could move back to the wings, please. I apologize for this.
We're adapting.
Who will be our artist? Oh, Glenn. Glenn will be our artist.
Glenn, your bib!
Oh dear. We have Eric and Jeremy as well queued up here. Okay, guys. Oh boy. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Draw the top card and good luck.
Oh, not even close.
Feel free to heckle Team Spirit.
Galavar.
Yeah.
What?
What?
That was an easy one.
Wrong!
Galavarb.
There's only one mermaid.
What?
Obviously, it's not a mermaid, gentlemen. Get your minds out of the ocean.
How can it be anything but?
Are you looking at the right card?
Joking. This is what we're seeing.
Galavarb.
No.
All right.
Oh, that
All
was
right.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rhymes with failure.
All right. Number 2.
What's happening?
Go.
This is a trick.
Glenn's a plant. You guys have this rigged.
You're the ones that absorbed him.
Oglavale.
Oh, not as terrible as before.
All right. Very good.
I'm gonna say Nancy Reagan.
One more. And go.
No.
Yes, lines, right? More. So confusion.
Clattershanks.
It is indeed a mess.
Oh, who's
Boatswain.
Who's the jester?
Boatswain.
Now I see it.
Malvestros.
Oh no.
Huh, we
floating
know
head.
this
Floating
one.
head. Floating head. Elinastus.
Oh! It would have been wonderful if you guys had lost on the Spirit faction leader. That would have been poetic. You
No.
should have just let that go. For,
Stupendous it would have been.
Yeah, wait, we're going to the finals.
All right. Well, then I have to pull an extra tough tiebreaker card
Oh.
from the Mourner deck here. Once again, we are using Boatswain. Once again, we're using Court of the Dead Mourner's Call cards. Useful in all
Useful
sorts
for
of
every occasion, in
applications here. We're gonna
Right
have
at
to
your
pick
college
an
finals.
extra special difficult one because Mr. Scoggin of Flesh over there worked on this game and is
What?
familiar with these.
God.
So here you go.
Pressure.
This one was a Rachel Roubicek design, one of my favorite characters actually, who will be making an appearance in Rise of the Reaper General. Are you ready, Glenn?
There we go. Now
Good
I'm
luck,
going to
guys.
combine my brain powers.
Skogs.
That would have been good. Yeah, I should have grabbed his card.
I know.
I already know.
I think Rachel knows. I can see her in the wings.
Draw faster.
Make guesses.
Jeremy, what do you got?
Clattershanks. Boatswain. Rachel,
know.
mouth it to me.
You are terrible at this.
Ghost of
We
Christmas
have other
present
colors
trying
if
to
you
throw
want
us
to
off.
try. Maybe that'll help.
Hustle.
Quick, more color. I need more color.
It's distraction.
I'm just drawing a blank. Can't.
But you know it. 10 seconds.
They have
9, 8.
Here comes upon you.
Quick.
Merry Christmas. A box of no.
I can't. It's too deep.
All right. Time
was
for you to
horrible.
switch with Spirit and let's see if they can get a bonus round. Nice try. That was a valiant effort. That was
What?
Bruce of
What was
Callum
it?
Harris,
Be gone.
No.
Be gone.
the mistress of the weapons hall.
That was tough.
Yep. That
All right,
was
Mourner Bree.
intentionally
My,
tough.
I will channel the
Alright.
best I
my
can.
spirit senses are tingling.
Pick an equally difficult one here because you do have a. Let's see. Pick a very difficult one.
Okay, guys.
I'm one with the spirit. The
So you
spirit.
limbered up here. All right. Here's a tough one. All right. This will be your psychic transmission challenge. Are you ready? Set. Go.
Yes. It's getting clearer now.
We'll see if Bree's been studying her chronicle.
What is this?
It's an angel,
Ah,
clearly.
Rachel knows.
in fact,
Team
he was
Bone would
mentioned earlier.
dominate.
What? Extra?
Rows a boat, perhaps.
Oh, Karen!
Well done.
Or boatswain, as the common answer is called. Both right, yes.
Second.
Alright. Team Spirit is the winner. Well
As if
done.
there were ever any doubt.
But thank you all for playing. What happens when your sight is
You
truly
invited
clear?
us on just as a joke. We're a
Sorry,
joke to
Team
you.
Flash.
We're being real serious here.
Come back in a couple weeks and we'll give you yet another chance to win. Or actually,
redeem yourselves.
Spirit should face
What are
off
we,
with
some sort of
Bone
punching bag?
next.
Yes.
Stay
Challenge
tuned. We've got a
accepted.
few more surprises for you after the next video break. Welcome back to the Court of the DeadStream. I hope you've enjoyed our haunting holiday episode full of holiday spirits.
That's a lot of alliteration you wove in there. Very nice.
Thank you, sir. We had a heavenly interview with Rachel Roubicek. We saw Team Spirit annihilate Team Flesh. We also had a special announcement that you're going to be working with Frank Tieri on your next graphic novel.
So, very exciting.
I'm really looking forward to that project. Who's going to be featured in that book? What
that's
characters?
Odium versus Mortigal.
Nice.
As the sort of spear point of Flesh and Bone.
A little rock'em sock'em.
Oh, it's going to be nothing but punching, kicking, and biting, I'm sure.
Excellent. We've got the Mortigal PF behind you, too. I think we should be seeing Odium sometime soon as well, coming up for a pre-order in recent months.
Yes, I think so. So everything's coming along.
Yeah, along with the Angels and Demons we announced that we're working on as well. So you just finished a kind of what we call a design jam in-house, right, with Angels and Demons?
Yeah, so we brought in several of the team members in-house and a few of our out-of-house partners to come in and basically did a whole sort of front-to-back kind of a survey on, what we've been kind of dancing along with in designing the Celestial End. Mm-hmm. And we showed a few things earlier, I think.
Yeah, some of Rachel's handiwork.
So, still the sort of overarching bad guys in Court of the Dead, but somewhat concealed for the big moment.
And that's the first time you really dove in with the team. I mean, you had 5 people working full-time almost for a week on some of the character designs for that and environments.
Yeah, I think we've done some small surveys before, but this is the first time we had 4 or 5 people in just, grinding away. So we got a lot of stuff out, did a lot of scene setting, key art and whatnot, so kind of stuff that helps us make the animatics and certainly some of the comic content. So there's a little bit of a flash of the celestial realm in Shadows of the Underworld.
Oh, yeah.
So that artwork helped fund that the reference for that.
I love the scene with Exrael talking to Priam. That
was definitely one of my favorites. I'm glad we got that in the book because that was a nice reveal.
That's awesome. That's Shadows of the Underworld, our graphic novel, which just came out. I think it started shipping, just a couple weeks ago. You can pick that up right now.
110 pages
in
of full
stock.
Boris color.
Nice hefty stocking stuffer.
Yeah, no, it's a great book. I think court fans will dig this. I think it's a good payoff on where the story's going. Introduces the Dread's grip. Shows you some new characters you haven't seen. The Exrael character is not really that well revealed at this point, but this book showcases them pretty nicely. So.
Yeah, kind of fleshes him out, which is a...
Fleshes him out, in fact, literally.
And we also gave away an awesome hoodie and T-shirt for G Ping's artwork.
Yes, so nice, some incredible artwork. Those of you that are following Court of the Dead certainly know Ji Ping and all of her wonderful sort of whimsical caricatures of Court of the Dead, which I love, the sort of nice counterpoint to the creepiness of everything.
Might we be seeing some more of her artwork?
Oh, absolutely. So more apparel, more of her designs making their way into some interesting formats for next year. So really excited about that. That'll be fun.
I love her Relic Ravlatch. That's one of my favorite designs.
That is a good one. There's a Galavar piece that she did that's super fun too.
Oh, yes.
Again, they all have just enough
the
of
one
the
that
edge.
Team Flesh couldn't really
fun.
get.
Yeah, they didn't quite have that one. Maybe if Ji Ping had drawn it, they would have gotten it right away.
Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, Glenn. Oh, and you did some pinch hitting there for Team Spirit, but you're not really, you won't really.
I helped all of the factions. As you saw, I was helping Flesh as well with inspiration. They needed quite a bit of it.
Oh, and we'll definitely be doing more of the Underworld games in 2019.
Oh, yeah. 2019, the games galore.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your project with Frank and what you're working on there with the War of Flesh and Bone?
So the War of Flesh and Bone with Frank is kind of a story that sort of delves into the political spectrum of the Underworld, where the Flesh and Bone kind of represent the disconcordance of the court and how they're unlikely to ever beat their celestial masters if they don't unify. So it sort of boils down from a conflict between champions and sort of turns into a suggestion that they... What?
Oh,
this guy.
Oh, how chilling. It looks like it's the ghost of Christmas
Who
future.
invited him?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear me.
Bringing the scythe for us all. Oh, ghost
I had
of
this
Christmas
covered.
future. Oh. Actually, maybe you can help me. I was wondering who our winners were for the Naughty and Nice quiz that we just did. Can you tell me maybe who the winners are? Yeah. No, I can't really hear you with your deathly whisper from the past, but maybe you can transmit them into my fancy magic cube here.
A slate of words. Amazing.
Let's see. The winners of our Naughty versus Nice contest are, and I'm reading off emails here, and these are pretty awesome. We have Doberman4487. Congratulations, Doberman. Crystallized Destruction, which is probably the best email
Holy smokes.
address I've ever heard, and kind of a nod to heaven at that, the Crystallized Destruction.
Indeed.
I like that. That's a good one to hang on to. And X Maldigo Lax. X Maldigo.
Careful where this is going.
Maldigo La X. I'm not sure, but we will be reaching out to you via email, and we'll also post our winners in the faction groups. So if you are on Facebook and you know your faction, please join your faction group because there's all sorts of prep and behind-the-scenes content going on there for the next installment of the Underworld games. So I think, oh my God, the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
The
future is just as irritating.
It doesn't get any better, does it? Oh, that scythe looks awful sharp. Well, I'm going to invite everyone back on to join us for the special holiday episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Flesh. And their flesh sheet, or whatever we want to call this. Here, you guys stand next to the scythe here. I feel like that's appropriate. You should cut them apart.
Happy holidays!
Let's separate these triplets.
So let's do a happy holidays, a rise
Happy
conquer.
holidays! Rise conquer rule!
Everybody, thanks for joining us.
Merry Deadness.
Merry Deadness.